There are moments in the life of every nation that mark a sea change in its history. For ancient Rome, it was the collapse of the Republic and the rise of the emperors. In England, it was the Magna Carta, and later, as in Great Britain, the independence of the Commonwealth nations. In China, the rise of communism and the brutal Cultural Revolution. Here in the United States, it was the American Civil War and grappling with the stain of slavery. We are again at one of those moments, I believe. Don't think that just because the vast majority of us live our lives in peace and we move from work to school to sports practice with ease, that the moment that we are experiencing together is no less significant. Are you paying attention to it? Do you realize that it's happening? A reckoning may very well be coming in this country, folks. Marxists in America set out to take over one of the major political parties decades ago. And for decades, their work advanced often quietly to embed anti-American ideologies in our government, our media, and our schools. Well, they've done it.
We have this new brand of Democrat, which is the leftists. And we win by bringing people into that coalition. We are a big tent party.
The chairman of the Democrat National Committee says that his is a big tent party. In doing so, he refuses to condemn socialism. And a candidate for New York City mayor who is openly anti-Semitic and believes in globalizing the Intifada. In the last month, the work of radicals within the party has become a runaway train that few, if any, Democrat leaders or officials have the power or even the desire to stop.
Mr. Bernal, was President Joe Biden fit to exercise the duties of the president?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
I must respectfully decline to answer based on the physician-patient privilege and reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. I am not a lawyer, and I must follow my lawyer's advice in this matter.
Ms. Tomasini, did President Joe Biden or anyone else in the White House instruct you to conceal or destroy classified material found at President Biden's home or office?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
That was a former Deputy White House Chief of Staff, Joe Biden's work husband, Anthony Bernal, and President Biden's doctor pleading the Fifth when asked if they improperly exercised presidential powers or authorities or lied to the public about the president's mental and physical decline. Folks, when people other than the president conspire together to exert his authority, it is a direct attack on the Constitution and the will of the American people. It is an attempt to nullify our elections. In the last 2 weeks, more evidence has been released that President Obama and the highest levels of our government conspired to illegally manipulate intelligence agencies and federal law enforcement authorities to spy on and then attempt to delegitimize an American presidency, the first term of Donald Trump. You know, there's something to this, folks, when most of the legacy media is completely silent on the allegations against Obama, Brennan, Comey, Biden, and Clapper. 100 more pages of records were released showing efforts by Obama and his national security officials to bury benign intelligence and then fabricate an alternative assessment of a Russian influence campaign on the American electorate and Donald Trump's alleged collusion with the Russian dictator. Here's former Democrat Tulsi Gabbard, the director of national intelligence.
This was a conspiracy, a treasonous conspiracy to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump in that 2016 election and the legitimacy of his presidency and enacted what was essentially a years-long coup.
It was intended to lay the foundation for the impeachment hearings and denigrate the incoming administration in a way that was clearly an abuse of power and a threat to the republic. Then there are these two people. Recognize them? They are arguably two of the most powerful people in the Democratic Party, with far more influence than Chuck Schumer. Let's listen.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Say the words. Say the words. Say them. Say them out loud. Say them again.
We the people, united, mobilized, and voted down this existential threat to democracy and freedom, that we continue the march for progress.
If you're eating breakfast, I'm sorry. But those are the leaders of America's public schools and public school teachers. Are test scores plummeting because we don't spend enough on education, or because these agents of woke chaos want our children, particularly racial minorities, to fail so they can swell the government's welfare rolls? It's time we realize that they're not teaching about the horrors of socialism and communism because they want a weak population who are little more than pawns of the state. Evidence is also mounting that Democrat fundraising platform Act Blue took in millions of illegal donations from foreign entities and other illegal domestic sources. And folks, I haven't even started on the infiltration of radical Islam, Sharia law, or the collusion of communist China in fomenting the political violence being driven by the Democratic Party that is tearing at the fabric of the nation. A few weeks back, I said that this was our American moment, and it is. It is time for Americans to think differently about their politics. It is time to question more and be more skeptical of institutions that have been co-opted by those who believe, as Marx once did, that those who wish to attain their goals only by peaceful means are doomed to failure, that despotic force is necessary to remake the social order, and those people who believe in the forcible overthrow of all of our existing conditions in our society. A reckoning must come sooner rather than later to expose it, to prosecute it, to root it out. Some ideologies and movements are completely incompatible with the American way of life. But it could not be clearer that one party no longer represents American interests, no longer is willing to stand up for the rule of law, and cannot be trusted with power.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.